Welcome everyone to today's video. We're going to be talking a little bit about last year's Man City versus Arsenal tie at the Etihad and what we think will happen this year. And so Gukas is going to walk through just a little bit about what happened last year, and then we can look forward to what we're going to predict for this year.
I'm going to walk through this like Man City walked through your defense last season, I guess. We're going to go with that. So what happened last season? Holding happened.
Yep. Saliba got injured. Tomiyasu got injured.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of Arteta's poor choices when it came to selecting the team against Sporting Lisbon, when it came to Europa League, I'm not sure why you decided to go full squad. I know you tried to win every single tournament as a team, as a big team. You tried to win every single game, but it's the first thing that Arteta has done wrong that season. He played the entire first team basically in that Europa League game, which was not necessary in my opinion. Just get knocked out from Europa League, which actually what ended up happening.
But to be the devil's advocate there, I would say you can't approach a competition and think like that as a coach. Top coaches do not do that.
Jurgen Klopp does that every single year. He always neglects your the FA Cup and the EFL Cup. He always does that, and that helps him. It's just you need to understand
But this is Europe.
But you're in a first Premier League title in your almost 20 years. You need to understand you're in a race for that, and you're in the favorite in that race. Everything's going so well for you, so just play holding.
But here's the problem: at that season, if he had Tomiyasu fit, he would have played him.
Why don't you play holding?
Because holding is not good enough.
I understand, but
it's not like it's Arteta's player. The problem last year was we didn't have the depth to be able to.
Sure, but you're never gonna have a second Saliba, so you understand.
Yeah,
that.
But even a little level below would have been okay. Holding even if you don't have, not even playing for Crystal Palace.
But that's I just didn't understand the point of sacrificing your first team. If it wasn't for Saliba, maybe it would have been any other first team player. It was Europa League game. Let's move on. Let's go to the Man City game specifically.
Okay.
My issue, if you remember before the game, I was hoping Arteta would come up with something different. Because by that time, before the Man City game, you guys lost lots of points. I think you were either even on points before the game. So Man City were in a better form. So Arsenal were kind of dropped down.
Yep.
And that was mainly because of what we mentioned. So it was injury. So you had Holding as your defender. And every time Holding played as a defender, your defense has been shambles, basically. And my idea was, Holding is not good enough. You know that against Man City, you have to play your special game. You have to be in your A+ game. It has to be different. You have to surprise Man City. For Arteta to be so naive, to go into Etihad playing with exactly same players, that first of all don't work for him. I don't think did he have any clue that playing with Holding as in a high press is going to work out? Like, what was his idea? Did he actually think that the same system he plays against Southampton is going to work against Man City? So that's I understand injuries. I understand you don't have Saliba, so that puts you in an insanely difficult position. But why are you going into Etihad with exact same ideas?
Can I explain why?
Yeah, of course.
The reason I think he did that is he's not the type of coach that sacrifices his system or his style of play based on the players that he has. Okay. The team has to meet his style of play. And that's his downfall because he's not tactically a type of coach that can switch on the fly unless he has the players to be able to do it. So if he doesn't have the players to do it, he's going to play that one style. And it is predictable, except I think that has changed this year, but we can get to that. But what I want to say is his mentality is, even though we don't have the players, I want the team to always be confident in playing the system no matter what. And so the minute he changes the system because we don't have Saliba and he changes because of Holding, it brings down the level of the confidence in the team. And it's not a short-term picture. It's a long term.
Sure.
And that's how he's changed the culture of the club, because he said, this is not good enough. We're not going to be the team that's going to sit back and try to play defensive football. We're going to play attacking football that's attractive, and that is more risky than playing. Like, we could have just went to Etihad and just sat deep and tried to get a draw.
Why not?
And that would have been the more tactically smart approach. But those type of coaches that do that, they're only good short term. Their vision doesn't last long term.
But then can we go back?
Because players want to play.
Let's go back 10 years, for example.
Yes.
Arsene Wenger. What was his main issue? Remember, we always said that when it comes to big teams, he always plays the same way. We always said, why doesn't he go more conservative approach against big teams? Why he's always going aggressive attacking, same as the lower level teams? That was our issue with Arsene Wenger, that he did not prepare for big games. This game felt exactly like Arsene Wenger era, when the big game comes and you're like, you know what, I'm Arsenal Football Club, I'm going to play my way.
But I would argue that Guardiola is like that too. In big games, he's had a lot of results not go his way, especially in the Champions League, because he will stick to his formula instead of playing a different style. And so,
which he changed last year. If you notice, he went much more defensively. He put four center backs as his defenders,
which is why he won the Champions League. So he made that change.
So that's why I'm saying,
but he didn't sacrifice as much as Arteta did, because he had the players to still be able to play 100%. Offensive football.
But if you go into that game saying, because Arsenal before that game they lost the points, it was obvious that holding just doesn't work in the same way the Saliba works. You have to understand that, okay, you had 1 game, 2 game, 3 game. You can notice that it's just not working. So why not say, you know what, this is our last chance?
Well, he did change it after that. He put Kivior as a right center back.
But that's my question though. You're going into the last game of the season in terms of, if you're going to lose that game, you're out of title race. That was obvious. If Arsenal lose to Man City, the title chances are very, very narrow. So you're understanding that I'm 300% sure it's not going to work out. It's just not going to, we just knew that. Holding was not up to level.
No, I knew we were going to go into that game and not win.
But as soon as I saw the lineups, I was like, this is done. Because my idea was holding is not working. Partying is just not being good. He's not in his
he got injured a
he's
little
not
bit,
in his optimal conditions.
And so he wasn't 100%.
So you're going to basically expose yourself to Ben White and Gabriel, and because on the left you have Zinchenko, who is not going to defend. And why is Zinchenko playing? Are you going to go at Etihad and control the ball? I really don't think so.
I mean, who was he going to put in the left back? But that's my Kivior. He barely had played Kivior.
But that's my issue.
So inexperienced.
But that's my issue. You have to go with the surprise effect. In that game, you had Jorginho on the bench. Why not go team up to holding midfielders in a right side?
I told
Jorginho and Partey. Why not go for that? So my idea is that you almost. Obviously, they gave lots of preparation to that game, but I just felt like Arteta was so naive. It just showed that he lack of coaching experience to go into that game.
But can I just say something? That performance was eye-opening for the ownership at Arsenal. And so let's say if he played a different way and Arsenal were able to get a draw, the ownership would see that result differently and would say, oh, we're good enough. We don't need to go out and spend $100 million on Rice, for example. I think Arteta does things in a certain way just to prove that if we want to be at the top, we have to have the players to be at that top. You can't play that type of system unless you have the best players. And that's why Man City are so good, is because they have the best players in that system. That's why I argued that that summer was huge for us, because he was able to convince that, we're good. We did an amazing season. We had a great football, but you could still see that we need depth to be able to play a different way, but yet keep our attacking level the same way. You can play defensive a little bit more, but still keep your attacking prowess.
I'm not saying Arsenal should have parked the bus. Maybe just not playing holding would have been enough. My idea would be play Kivior, because he's got the better pace.
Well, he made that mistake that game and then changed that.
But he's got better pace. He's hungry to prove himself.
Yeah.
He's a new player. He has that energy. It's sort of like a life opportunity for him to prove that he is good to be at that level. So he's going to play much better than holding, and then just have 2 holding midfielders. Because you went with the party being alone against De Bruyne. And you know what De Bruyne in his prime, which he was like last year in his amazing form, is going to do to Party, who is not in the optimal condition. And Partey is not that great defensively either. You have to mention that.
I think Partey hasn't been good defensively because of all the injuries.
Since Atletico times.
Yes, since he's come to Arsenal because of all the hamstring injuries that he's had, it's prevented him from being the same athletic beast he was in Atletico. And clearly, when you see Rice versus Partey, you can see the level of difference in defense. So let's describe the game a little bit.
I mean, I would describe the game, but what just simply happened is that it's just, if you watch all the highlights, City create maybe about 15 clear chances to score, but all the chances came from the same picture of Arsenal going to high press. Holding is not good enough to deal with either De Bruyne or Haaland or understand how to position himself to just cover up the passing lanes. And they would just go straight, direct pass towards the striker, and Gabriel would be exposed. And then Ben White joining him, but Ben White was so focused on Grealish, who was just always there, and Zinchenko just being Zinchenko and not being able to defend. It was the same picture. And it's also what surprised me in that game is that it took Arteta about 50, 60 minutes
to win the game. Does.
I think we're not Arteta.
Yeah.
We're not even close to his understanding of the game.
I just don't think he principally will change the game state that fast.
Then you have to question.
He's just not his personality. Like he will trust his players, and that there's pros and cons to that. There's the pros is that you build trust with your players because you give them a chance to make up for you give them an opportunity to come back. Okay. But then maybe sometimes he waits too long, and I agree. I think sometimes I think he's a little bit scared to make those decisions. Jurgen Klopp, I think, is the best at that. He'll change the game right away if he sees something going wrong. You think Jurgen Klopp, what's good about him this way is his system is set up. He's always uncomfortable to play against. Whether you're a big team, small team, he always... That's why his team maybe is not perfect in one of the type of game, but like it's good enough on every single. Defensively, they can be good enough. Yeah. In the pressing in the midfield, they can be pressing high against the defenders. They can do it. Anything you name, they can do it against you. And the reason I asked you, the reason I mentioned focused so much about the last game, I want to ask you, this game, do you want Arteta to go and play exactly the same way as you guys do against every single opponent? Or you want him to prepare something special? Because I'll be honest, when it comes to big games, I always want to do something unique. I always want to surprise the opponent. That's my idea in the big games, because otherwise they know you so well, they've analyzed you so well that you have to be perfect. Your every single touch, every single pass, every single shot should be perfect. And we know that Arsenal are not going to create too many shots, not going to create too many chances against Man City. And I think Man City is probably not going to create too many chances either. It's going to be like the first game of the season.
In those big games, I always think the advantage of the stadium is so important.
Yes.
Because that's what emotionally just puts you through it. So in my idea, I just want to ask you, what do you think should happen against Man City this season? I know Arsenal have been amazing against top six. I think Man City's record against top six of this season have been poor. I think they've had like only 1 or 2 wins.
Yep.
And that was actually against United, right? If I'm not mistaken. But
yeah, so if we look at the Big Six mini table right now, Arsenal have played 6 games. They've won 3 and they've drawn 3. They haven't lost. So 12 points. And then Man City have played 5 games. They've won 1, drawn 3, and lost 1.
But then the reason I want to address this is that let's look at the top 6 games. Arsenal, against Spurs, they played at home. Against Liverpool, you guys played both home and away. But away, you drew the game. Against Man City, you only played at home. Against Chelsea, you played away and you almost lost. Against United, you only played at home. So my thing is that Arsenal...
United, we played a lot better at home. Man City was an even game. We ended up getting the goal and we won the game. So against Tottenham, we were the better team, but Tottenham were more clear-cut.
Yeah, they're clinical. They just scored the chances.
They were more clinical, but we were better than them at home. Liverpool, I think both ties we were better than them, away and at home. I thought that we were better.
But then my question is... sorry, not question.
And Chelsea are not top 6.
Are they even top 10? I'm not sure. But the issue is that Arsenal, if we look at the away games, so Spurs, they haven't played away. Liverpool away, they drew the game. Man City, they yet to play. Chelsea away.
We have tough games coming up for sure. We have tough games coming up.
That's my issue. Away, Arsenal just drew their Against top 6, they only drew.
Well,
their
they
2
did
games,
well
and
against
that's it.
Liverpool.
Yeah, but they drew the game, didn't they?
Well, that's pretty much my prediction for,
Yeah,
for the game.
You can get your played well against Liverpool trophy at the end of the season.
No, but here's my line of thinking. During the summer, we signed Rice, we signed Havertz, we signed Raya, all with and Timber. Mm-hmm. Timber was supposed to be a game changer. Unfortunately, got injured in the first game.
He would have been definitely.
Yes, like he bought so many players that can play in different positions to be able to be flexible and to be able to change the game state. So against Man City, we played a different system. Mm-hmm. We played a 2 holding midfield this year.
Yeah,
we put Rice and Jorginho next to each other, and we played Havertz as the top, and that even happened in the Community Shield. Mm-hmm. So Arteta has shown that he's willing to do that this season. He's willing to change the way he plays slightly, not major changes, but enough changes to be able to frustrate the big 6 teams. And that's why I think Man City didn't do that well against us at the home tie.
I think the reason you guys didn't do well, I noticed that a lot too in the game, and I think it was Holland who complained after the game, just said, we couldn't get the ball out of them. Man City didn't know how to high press you. Mm-hmm. The position that Arsenal kept made City so uncomfortable that that's
They're
the
not
reason,
used to it.
That's the reason they won. You guys created chances. You were creating chances at the end. I know it's a deflection goal, but I feel like momentum was on Arsenal's side. Arsenal deserved to win that game, 100%. I just don't think you can rely on the same thing against Man City at the Etihad. It's going to be a completely different game. Arsenal.
I think we're going to be a little bit more defensive.
100%.
But I think when you have a Saliba and a Gabriel partnership that has been the best in the defense, we don't have the liability of Zinchenko with Kivior. Mm-hmm. White is playing the best football he's played at Arsenal all season and maybe his entire career at Arsenal. In my opinion, he's playing excellent.
I mean, he's not going to have much of an opponent to deal with.
Yeah, but regardless, he's playing well. He finally is looking like a proper right back. And then you also have a Rice and a Jorginho midfield that is very conservative when they need to be and very smart. Really smart players. They're not out of position anytime.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get the open space that you had in the last year's game.
Definitely. It's going to be less open. I just think so you think Arsenal should play on Sunday, approach the game with the same tactics, with the same strategy as they play?
I wouldn't say the same tactics. I would say change the pressing a little bit so that way you're not as high up. Mm-hmm. I would change that because Holland is dangerous and behind, and so you're going to see an Arsenal team that is not going to be as aggressive.
So it's not going to be the same thing as last year. You want it to be a little bit the high pressing, less suicidal.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
That's fair. I just think even if that was applied last year, I think the result would have been that embarrassing. I just hope.
I think Arsenal have been embarrassed enough over there that they're not going to go thinking, oh, we're just going to come and play like beautiful football here. They know these players are not the same type of players either. Mm-hmm. So those 3 players I mentioned with Raya, like Raya is also going to be a lot more, is going to be better than Ramsdale. Ramsdale made that mistake in the first goal, his positioning. I think Raya is going to be better than him this game. His distribution is going to be better. So if Man City press against Raya, he's going to be more comfortable. And so we're not just going to give possession away like maybe Ramsdale would do. Because I think last season, during that last stretch, Ramsdale also was really poor. He would just give the ball away anytime he would get the ball.
His distribution has been great.
And Havertz is playing the best football right now. The last 5 games, he scored 4 goals.
Yeah, I mean,
like we're on a run too.
I mean, honestly,
like that's a difference from last year and this year too. We're like last year we went into the game with no momentum. This year we're going in with momentum. We have had like 3 weeks off to plan for this game and to get healthy, and pretty much we have everyone back. Like the only scare is maybe Martinelli with his cut. We're hoping he's back. Saka has been dealing with Achilles issues all season, but he's going to have a break until that game, so he's going to play. And even having just a bench to be able to bring on Jesus. Last year, Jesus started. We didn't have like a proper person to bring on. with Havertz on top and then Jesus coming off the bench, that's a scary situation for City. They have to respect that. Where before it would be Eddie coming on. Sorry, but Eddie's not gonna make anyone scared.
World class player.
I like him. He's really good person, and he has the right mindset.
He's a good bench option, but like not to improve the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How many times has he come on and scored? I can't even think.
I think that's the most important thing is going to be Havertz's position, because honestly, as a person who watches Man City game every single time, when there is a person who understands how to expose Roger being the lonely person in the midfield, there is someone who can understand that how to use the space correctly, that's going to be the big advantage, because that's one of the City's main issue is Roger being alone, and sometimes he doesn't have the pace. You got to remember, he doesn't have the physique to always be there. He's pretty slow for a midfielder.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be the best chance of Arsenal, how they're gonna play the short passes through the midfield, because the wingers, I don't think that should be Arsenal's main focus. I'll explain. Martinelli is gonna be alone against Kyle Walker. I think he's gonna be able to recover from the injury he got at the England's national team. So
you think so?
I mean,
it looked like a hamstring injury. I don't know.
Let's say, I mean, you know how Man City like to fake the injuries.
I know, but that was a hamstring injury. I don't know.
It could also be a precaution, because as a player, sometimes you can feel your hamstring going slightly feeling uncomfortable. It doesn't fully go off. You just feel uncomfortable, and you're like, you know what? I have a game against Man
I think that would be a big
Arsenal.
miss if he doesn't play.
I think so.
Because Martinelli struggles against him. Because Martinelli's main thing that he's good at is his pace. And Walker is just undeniably probably faster than him, or not probably.
But then you have Akanji.
I think Martinelli will give Akanji a lot more problems than Walker.
Speed-wise, yeah, sure. But Akanji, if he pushes you away, you're done.
But that's the main thing. Martinelli is strong. It's not the strength that's the issue. I think it's always been if someone is faster than him, he struggles. That's what I've noticed.
But yeah, the wingers, I just still don't see Arsenal just having the opportunity to be having the advantage on the wings. It has to be the middle. It has to be the
Rice or Jorginho.
Yeah, the Jorginho has to be amazingly quick in his distribution towards the middle.
Also having Party on the bench to come on if we need to.
In case you need him.
That's a huge.
Yeah,
huge.
I just hope Arsenal don't need him, because if he comes on, that means Arsenal need to defend, and you guys are winning the game, so which I hope doesn't happen.
No, don't say that. Come on. We deserve a title. No, it's been 20 years. Dedicated fans. Come on. Man City is not good for football.
I told you my problem with Arsenal fans. You guys are too loud. I'm sorry you had...
We are loud.
You had the one successful season in 20 years, and then you're talking big.
Okay, we didn't have one.
Okay.
I don't know what you define as success.
Okay.
Titles?
I'll rephrase.
Yes.
One successful season in what, 10 years? I want to say, when you were actually challenging for the title. Because last
last year we were challenging for the title. So, then there was the Leicester City year that we were
the reason I'm saying it, 2013-14 was the last season that Arsenal were challenging for the title till like January, February. And
except last season.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say as I'm looking at the last season. Then 2022, 2023 is the next time you guys are challenging for the title. So it's been almost 10 years you haven't challenged for the title, and after one successful season, when you still lost the league by 10 points, you guys are so loud.
We actually lost the league by 5 points.
Okay, City, because they lost, they drew the game against Brighton. They stopped playing basically at that point when they won the league. So that's my entire point, is that after one successful season, I've heard so much noise from Arsenal fans.
Okay,
that I'm tired.
Just give a little bit of stats of why we thought last season was so impressive.
It was impressive.
Because you have to look at it from the perspective of, okay, Arsenal's history, right? So in 2023, the invincible year, we got 90 points. In 2001, we also got 87 points and we won the league. We got 84 points. That was our third highest point total ever, and we didn't win the league. That's only because Man City are just that good. On top of that, we scored the most goals we've ever scored last year in one single season. So you take that into account, playing that style. And then the fact that all the Arsenal fans know the reason we didn't win the title is not because we bottled it, that people will say. It's because we got 2 injuries to the key people, Saliba and Tomiyasu, at the same time, and put Holding, and we just talked about why Holding was liability, and Arteta didn't change his system to be able to play a different style, to be able to get those points, which he's a young coach. We understand that. Now, this season's a completely different animal. Arteta has been a lot more strategic with the way he's approached the first part of the season. We didn't play amazing 100% rock and roll football.
I mean, was it strategic, or was it just the fact that...
I think it was strategic.
I think he just now realized that Havertz is number 8 and Rice is number 6 just doesn't work. Once he figured it out towards the second part of the season, it worked. You never, as a coach...
True, but what I would say is he wanted to build... It took a while for also the players to learn it. Like, Rice was brand new, Havertz was brand new. Like, it's going to take a while for them to learn.
It's not like he planned saying, you know what, we're going to be terrible. No, we're not going to be...
Not that we're going to be terrible.
But we're not going to be that impressive.
He knew that he was...
You as a
defensively,
coach,
we were really
you
impressive.
as a coach don't plan to have an average first part of the season, and then you go in on amazing... You don't plan for that.
Okay, but can I just say something? I personally think that even from the beginning of the season, we've demonstrated a lot more control in all our games. So if you look at it from that statistic or that perspective, what's most important? Controlling games from the start to the end. Arsenal have controlled games from start to end. We just had maybe 4 or 5 games where we could not score a damn goal. And that cost us so many points over that stretch, just because we weren't clinical. But the minute we started playing a little bit more comfortably, and we got a little bit of a break, which I think the players needed, because some of the players are... they have consistent chronic injuries, like Saka with his Achilles issue. The minute they got a break, they were able to start. So I understand your perspective. I understand that midfield didn't work. It didn't. But also Havertz has been better. Also Rice has been better. Also Jorginho has been better. White has been better. Saka has been better. But the players are still playing in that similar system.
They became better, not because all of a sudden they became better players. They became better because they started playing in their natural environment, their natural positions. Not because Arteta made them better, but because he was like, finally, after half a season, he figured out how it's supposed to... I'm not saying it's a bad thing that he took a half a season.
But I think that in that half a season that we were learning how to play, it was like kind of a new system in a way, because we were a lot less, in my opinion, predictable than last season, and we were a lot more structured.
I mean, last year you were just like some kids just having fun with the ball.
Yes.
You were constantly attacking, not worrying about defense, and it worked. This season Arsenal became like a mature team.
Exactly. And what I think is the most important part of the season is now, from March to May. And you want to have all your players in prime shape to be able to go into this run of games, which is going to be really tough, and I don't know if we're going to be capable of doing it, but we're there. And like Arsenal fans, all we've wanted is to be there, to be in that conversation. So we're there. And so what I want to happen now is I want us to not... a lot of the times the reasons we've bottled it has been because of key injuries to key people, and then not having enough depth to be able to go into those games with talented enough players to be able to get the points we need. We don't have that issue this season.
Okay, so your final game plan for this?
So my game plan is...
Play the same football, just a little bit less of a high defensive line.
You can't change your system completely.
Yeah, obviously. So you don't think Arteta should specifically design a surprise game plan? He should just go as an Arsenal team that's been playing this season well. It's just
I think so because he should have plan A, plan B, plan C, and he should see how the game goes. But in my opinion, what has been working this season is our defense stability, and you don't change that. So you think offensively, you can change different things: how you attack, where you go, where you don't go, when you press, when you don't press. But in terms of the structure, I wouldn't change the formation or anything like that.
I mean, in the big games like that, when you prepare for the game, the main aspects you would focus on is how you gonna press, which areas, which players are gonna focus on.
Yeah, those things need to be. They're gonna.
So you just think he
analyze
just
that.
needs to change his approach to pressing, make it more conservative. That's the only thing you think you should change. Just less suicidal high press, more conservative.
No, I also think we should identify Man City's weaknesses
Okay.
and go with that. Wherever they think the weakness is, they should attack that. Like so, and you've seen Arteta change his, like for example, we used to last year every single time when we start the play, we would pass it to the goalkeeper and kick it long to Martinelli. We stopped doing that. We don't do that all the time now. So if we feel like we want to control the possession of the game to start, to give us a little bit more control at the beginning of the games, instead of losing the ball, we'll do that. So you might see Raya not kick it long and like start playing it out. And then we might just control the possession to just calm the state of the game for like 10, 15 minutes. Those are the type of things I've noticed this year that we weren't doing last year.
Okay. I mean,
what do you think? What do you think the game plan is going to be for Arsenal? You think...
I think it's going to be... I think Arteta will go with a similar thing. Maybe he'll adjust his high press because he needs to understand that he's playing at Etihad. It's just in those big games, the factor of the away stadium, it's a big thing. I think Man City have got a big advantage of it. It's also lots of mental pressure. When you as a player...
But you have to face that pressure to be the best.
I'll speak from my experience. Whenever I played on the stadium I was uncomfortable playing in, it affected me mentally. So I think I think Arsenal going to that game, understanding last time they won at Etihad was 2014-2015 season.
I think 2016.
Was it when
Cazorla?
Maybe I'm not an Arsenal fan. I don't remember every single game, but
was it 2014, 2015?
I think so. I think that's what I remember. I remember that being Cazorla's first season and how everyone was impressed with him. I think it was that game.
2015.
Yeah, that's a 14-15 season. Yeah. So yeah, that's what happened basically there, and all that mental pressure. That's like I think psychology is going to be on City's side.
Yeah,
and I think that's I would say chances 60-40 towards Man City.
I mean they're going to be the favorites.
The favorites. I just think I just have a feeling that game might go very wrong for Arsenal. That's what I feel. I think once City scores once or twice, Arsenal might collapse.
You know, this team does not collapse. Not this year.
Okay.
Not this year. We have not had one game where Arsenal were collapsed.
Okay. So
the only bad game we've honestly had this season that was truly a bad game was Fulham. Okay. And even that we didn't collapse. It's not like Fulham beat us 3-0. So we haven't had that game where typical Arsenal, typical bottlers, typical team that like will lose their heads. We just don't do that. Okay. We haven't like Odegaard, Rice, Jorginho, Saliba. Like these players are not the type of players that they lose their heads.
Okay. Sure. I just the reason I'm so confident in Man City is that I think Man City players understand.
Like if Man City win, they're gonna beat us because they were better than us and they were just phenomenal and they were clinical. Not because Arsenal made all these mistakes.
I'm not making that claim. What I'm saying is that Man City are going to go into this game with the mentality they understand if they don't win this game, they probably don't have the title and they don't deserve the title. So that's my idea is. I think Man City are going to go with their "we're going to kill you" mentality,
and so should Arsenal.
No, 100%. I just think when Man City play at home with that "I kill you" mentality, something what they did with Real Madrid last season, when Man City just came out hungry, they were just animals. So
it's going to be a phenomenal game.
If Man City don't come out like that on Sunday, Arsenal will win the game.
Yeah.
So
let's see how it goes. Like this is why we watch the beautiful game of football. Who knows, right?
I mean, our predictions were kind of different. I said 3-4-0 towards Man City. You said
there's no chance it's going to be 3-4-0.
That's what I felt like. I mean, maybe Arsenal will score one.
Okay.
Maybe Holding will come.
This is not last season.
There's no Holding this season to score, huh? For you
I
guys.
feel like a lot of times fans don't look at our team this year differently because they just used to Arsenal bottling it. Last year I would say that we were going to bottle it, and we did. This year, there's a different level of confidence I have in this team defensively that unless we have an injury, key injuries to certain players, and you have like Cedric playing, which I hope doesn't happen. But if we have like a Cedric playing that like is a clear weakness in the team and causes these type of goals, which Holding did last year, I don't see us I'm not saying that we have no chance of losing. I just don't think it's going to be a 3 or 4-0 like a domination by Man City. That's just not going to happen.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see this weekend.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
excited. We'll talk about the game afterwards. That'll be interesting.
I'm gonna celebrate the win.
Yes.
Because I'm a
Sure.
Guardiola fan. Not a Man
He's
City
a Man City fan. He's been a City fan. Just kidding.
I'm just a Zinchenko fan. That's why I'm wearing this jersey.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I've been actually covering Arsenal emblem. If you know, look, you cannot see the Arsenal logo actually on the video. I've been covering it with a mic the entire video.
Hilarious. Okay, guys. Well, that's it for today.
Thank you for the video.
Thank you for the video. Again, please subscribe. Please like and share our content. We love you guys.